So if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you would know that it's a reoccurring theme that I get reported to the FAA at least once or twice a year. And it's not because I do a lot of edgy, illegal stuff. It's more so because there's trolls on the internet. At this point, I've probably been reported to the FAA over 10 or 12 times, but I've never been reported to the National Park Service. That is until yesterday. So let me set the scene. I was sitting here at this very desk eating a burrito when my phone rings. Random number, I normally don't answer those calls, but it came up as Page, Arizona. So I decided to answer it.
And you said you're from the National Park Service, right?
Yeah, Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. It's Page, Arizona. Yeah, this came through a complaint line that we have. It's like an anonymous complaint. Someone goes, hey, I saw this video and I don't think it's legitimate.
Before we get into all the details of how I got reported and what the end result was, I need to remind you guys right now we're doing a big giveaway. I'm giving away my personal Parajet Maverick with an Atom 80, pretty much the perfect beginner paramotor. And if you're not a pilot, you get free training with Aviator Paramotor, the school I learned to fly at and the school I always recommend people go to. That's like over $10,000 in actual prizes. How do you get entered to win? Visit tuckergott.com, the first link in the description. We just released a bunch of new merch. Every $5 you spend on the web store gets you one entry to win the entire package. So as soon as this video is over, make sure you get entered. And today only, the day that this video goes live, it's on the screen right now, we're doing a bonus round. One order that is placed today, we are randomly gonna put in this GoPro 10. This is a whole package combo, so it comes with the SD card, extra batteries. This is the camera I film all of my POV shots on. So one lucky person that makes an order today will get this very GoPro in their order. If you haven't entered to win yet, now is your opportunity. You might get a GoPro and you might end up with the Parajet Maverick and the training. Okay, so back to how I got reported. I'm sitting at this very desk, phone rings, I pick it up, and it's the National Park Service. I'm a little bit caught off guard, but this sort of thing happens kind of often. But the first thing that stood out to me is that this is the National Park Service and not the FAA. The guy had very much the same tone as the FAA, that he was investigating an anonymous complaint. However, the interesting thing is that the FAA is the organization that governs the airspace and all the flying that we do on paramotors. The National Park Service does not have any authority over the airspace. So very quickly into the conversation, the guy identifies the video that received the complaint, which is this one playing on loop behind me.
And you said you're from the National Park Service, right?
Yeah, Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. It's Page, Arizona.
This is Horseshoe Bend in Page, Arizona, part of the Glen Canyon National Park, whatever area. And this video was posted in December of 2021. It was actually filmed in late October of 2021, but that's a long time ago. So I was a bit caught off guard that it was just getting reported now. Now, according to the agent, I guess you would call him, that was on the phone with me, he claimed that someone anonymously reported this video and he was following up as he has to as part of his duty and investigating the case.
So someone just kind of filed a complaint with us. They didn't think it was legal what you guys were doing. So we're just kind of following up basically about that, if you are cool with that.
For sure.
Yeah, just got a couple questions.
He said he had some questions because paramotors are relatively new to them, and he wanted to just gather some information. Now, I was a bit confused because I want to believe him. I want to believe that his intentions are good, but this is someone working with the government that has the potential to send me a fine. The guy seemed very nice. He was very kind, but I also was a little bit scared that he was going to try to set me up and get me to admit guilt and then send a massive fine to me. So main concerns, questions he asked me. First, did I ever touch down?
You got pretty close to the water. Did you touch the water at all, or is it just kind of how the video is showing?
I don't believe so. I'd have to go back and watch it myself, but no, I don't think so.
That's like our only, and it's not even like a concern, I guess, in a sense. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our laws. It's hard. It's very encompassing, but it mostly pertains to helicopters and what it's called air delivery. Mm-hmm. And it's where for example, we get a helicopter and it goes lands in the park and takes off. That's not allowed unless it's a designated area, if that makes sense. That's where we generally see those issues. That's why I ask.
And just going off of memory, I couldn't remember, but going back and looking at the actual video, I did not touch down. This is a very important distinction because, like I said, the National Park Service doesn't really regulate the airspace, the FAA does. However, if you were to touch down on a national park, they do have authority because now you're touching the ground. His next question was regarding a near midair collision that my friends Dan and Judson had.
Can you kind of describe the video to me? It kind of looks like you guys like almost crashed into each other, or?
That was two of my friends that had like a close encounter.
And how close did they get? It's hard to tell in the video, that's why I asked.
Honestly, I didn't witness it. I only saw like what you saw in the video. So there's not a whole lot I can say for certain.
Now, if you go back and watch the original video, they did have kind of a close call in the canyon. I did think it was a little bit weird that he was asking about that, though. He asked some other questions like the exact date of the flight, which I was kind of unsure of.
Were you able to pull up more specific, like a date, time frame you were here, or just end of October?
I can't say for sure. My video records, like when I made the folder, was the 24th of October, 2021. I don't know if that's the exact day, but that's when I added it to my computer.
He asked for my name, phone number, email address, and home address. And he asked for the type of aircraft and the make and model. And I provided him with it, although I don't really understand why.
And then what do you guys consider what you guys were flying? Are those ultralights or paramotors? I've seen different terms.
They're called paramotors, and they fall under FAR 103 as an ultralight recreational vehicle.
Is it like a certain model that you fly, or what are they?
I have to pull up the video and see which one, because I change a lot. Like I have 5 of them, so I pulled up the video, and I mean, if you want the make or model or whatever I was flying that day, it's Parajet is the manufacturer, and the model is a Maverick. And then the wing I was flying, I believe, was the Ozone Freeride.
I don't know why that information was necessary. All I can really imagine is he had some paperwork to fill out and he needed to fill in vehicle type. He was asking who I was flying with, and there were 2 of my friends who were named in the video. And then there were several other people that we encountered that day that I didn't really stay in touch with.
Was there anybody else that you were flying with, or was it just you 3?
I believe there were 2 other guys that I kind of met on the road. I don't recall their names. I'd have to go back and find it.
He ended the call and said he would call back later with some more questions. And later on in that day, I did receive another phone call, and the additional questions he had were kind of just about general paramotoring.
And then this is probably a horrible way to phrase this, just with my ignorance of paramotors, but in the video, it appears like you're doing some really steep, so it looks like you're almost going upside down, but I doubt you were. Was there dangers associated with doing that, especially in a canyon environment like that?
It's hard to say as far as dangers because it depends. I mean, for me personally, I've been doing it long enough that to me that's operating at 50, 60%. So it's well within my risk tolerance. If someone that has been flying for 2 or 3 years went out and did it, it would probably be a horrible idea for them within their skill set, but I feel very confident doing that sort of thing.
The next thing was he had a bunch of questions about how dangerous it is to fly in a canyon.
Okay. What are, I guess, some potential, can the parachute or the wing or whatever you call it, collapse, or how does that, what are the potential dangers?
If the winds are blowing at all, 5 to 10 miles per hour in a canyon scenario, it creates a lot of turbulence, and paramotors are generally pretty susceptible to turbulence. So that's one of the biggest things I look into before flying in any mountainous or canyon environment. You want next to no wind to do it safely.
So that's where the conversation basically ended. Just basically gathering information about paramotoring, which I was happy to provide as long as I wasn't at risk of incriminating myself, which at the end of the day, I truly believe we didn't do anything illegal. So it would be hard for them to try to pursue anything. However, I wanted to kind of give some overall lessons from the situation and what I would tell paramotor pilots that want to go fly Horseshoe Bend in the future, because Horseshoe Bend is incredible. It's like a bucket list flight, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to go out and do it. And now that I've had an interaction with the National Park Service, I feel like it's valuable to share this information with you guys that might be wanting to go fly it. So the first thing is obviously don't touch down. Once you touch the national park land, now you're violating an actual law of the national park. The next thing is follow all the FAA regulations under Part 103, and that's kind of obvious. When I was talking to the agent, he brought up the fact that after our flight, someone had a motor out and they landed in the bottom of the canyon. I guess they took a boat out, whatever the case was. And then the National Park Service actually tried to put a ban on paramotoring in Horseshoe Bend, but there was enough pushback and it was kind of seen as government overreach because they're not allowed to regulate the airspace, and they had to go back and remove that ban. So that leaves you with essentially follow the FAA regulations, which is kind of common sense. I would say if you're going to go fly there, it's kind of a bucket list flight. Make sure you got good conditions. Go into the canyon, don't bother anyone, and then be on your way and make your way out of the canyon. Don't linger. Obviously, there are risks involved to a flight like this, one of which is a motor out. So pre-flight your gear, make sure that you can trust it, maybe a little bit more than normal. Also, be sure to be super aware of the wind conditions. You want like a super calm morning or evening when there's not a lot of wind, or else it could get very hairy in that canyon. So that was my experience with the National Park Service. Overall, the guy was very respectful, very kind. And at the end of the day, I think he honestly just wanted to follow through in his investigation like he's supposed to. Horseshoe Bend, epic flight, random troll on the internet that tried to get me in trouble again. You're gonna have to try harder. Hope you guys enjoyed. Now that the video is over, be sure to go to tuckergott.com, check out the new arrivals, place an order. Every $5 spent gets you an entry to win the Parajet Maverick and Training with Aviator. And if you go place an order today, right now, as soon as this video is over, there's a pretty high statistical chance that you'll find a GoPro 10 in your order. So with that, thank you guys for all your support. Thank you for watching till the end. Till the next one, have fun, fly safe, peace. Bzz.
I really appreciate you talking to me on the phone and just kind of answering some of my questions. Like I said, this is relatively new to us, so we're not, we just are curious whether this is a big issue or not a big issue, and